Hey, everybody, welcome to today's show. And I'm very excited because I just love business. Even though I have a wellness network that's really focused on positive and educational, I love to have business conversations. So I'm excited for today's topic because I am bringing in a 29-year-old business wizard, Jake Taylor, who's going to share with us how to have the success and financial freedom that we all deserve. So I'm going to bring him into the room here. Hey, Jake, how are you today?
Listen, I'm the most blessed man in the world. How you doing?
I'm good, and I'm blessed just to be talking to you today. So you are all about financial freedom. You travel to multiple countries, bringing your words of inspiration and experience, and you really have a rags to riches story too. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes, so I grew up in Dallas, Texas, Cedar Hill to be exact, a suburb outside of Dallas. But my family, we were poor. Living in Cedar Hill, my parents spent all their money to get us to middle class America just to be able to get a nice education. There were times where I came home, no lights on, the typical trying to just make it story. I saw what finances could do, lack of finances could do on a marriage, the strain it could put on, on your body. The beauty of it is my stepmom, by law, she's my mother who raised me. She took me under her arms when she married my father. She's been in my life since too. So she became like a biological mother to me. And her father was an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, and very successful. So in the summer times, I would kind of go with him to see how things kind of worked. But we were still broke. But my papa, he was fine, and I got to see what success looked like. And I mimicked that. I started a candy business when I was in 10th grade. And net profit, we were bringing in 4,000 a month in high school. I had 4 schools I was selling candy with, and I was helping my mom pay the mortgage when my father lost his job, and just stuff like that. And you went to college and went to school to play ball, and then after you tore your ACL, you figure out, okay, ball may not be it for me. And as any athlete, after you stop playing ball, you start to say, hey, maybe I'm a coach, maybe I'm a trainer. This is all I know. Left there, became a PE teacher, hated it with all my life. And I started dibble dabbling in entrepreneurship in the insurance industry. Left the job full time with no backup plan. And now we're here where we are, 13 full-time staff, 100% debt-free, multi-million-dollar company, never borrow money from the bank, and still growing. So, yeah, that's a little bit of my story.
That's awesome. And I can relate. In fact, nobody knows this. I don't think I've ever talked about this, but I'd say the second half of my childhood was very poor as well. In fact, I lived in a very small town on the Missouri-Arkansas border. My clothes were in cardboard boxes. My mattresses were on the floor. And in the winter, I would actually have ice inside my bedrooms. That's how cold it was. So I get it. One of your premises really is that, financial stress can kill you. And as an entrepreneur, a lot of us take that leap. And I took a personal leap in 2007 from corporate America, where I was making good money, benefits, a good salary, female, executive. And I went to zero income in one day. And so a lot of businesses are not resilient or they can't make it. What are some of your ideas on what can help a business thrive?
I think that a lot of businesses don't lack resources. If you look at statistics, a lot of small businesses say they fail because they lack resources. And the truth is that we lack ingenuity and being resourceful. And a lot of us, we don't plan to exit the job. We don't plan to exit our situations. And so we bring our living standard up to what we're making at our job. And then all of a sudden we get fed up. All of a sudden we want something new. All of a sudden now our emotions are wanting something better for ourselves. And because we put ourselves in such a box, living on 100% of the income, we don't plan for our transition. We just kind of do our transition, and we don't plan for our exit, much like why most business owners get stuck in their business. We don't plan for an exit.
That's it. That's exactly right. And I've had this conversation before because when I think about my last, let's say, year in my corporate position, I knew the end was in sight. I wasn't exactly sure when it was. And so some of the things that I started to take care of it on the home front was to pay off my debt, make sure my car was paid off, because I knew a big leap was coming and I was going to be going from 6 figures to zero. And I knew that I needed to have as less financial stress as possible so that I could be nimble and kind of navigate the role. I always call it the entrepreneurial roller coaster, because one day you're high as a kite. Woo, this is awesome. And then the next day you're like, you lose a client or something you think is going to happen never happens. And so definitely having that mental fortitude before you take your leap and making that preparation is vital. What are some of the traits you think in an individual or a personality are critical for entrepreneurial and financial success?
When you see a vision inside of your heart, and a lot of us say, I believe God gave me this vision. But if you believe in that vision, no matter what happens, you got to see it all the way through. And I attribute it to being a man or woman of your word that you give yourself. And a lot of us, we lie to ourselves so many times. And so you don't even believe yourself. And it's just, if you say that you're going to do something, don't put a time limit on it and say, if I don't do it within a year, if I don't do it within 36 months, then I guess I'll go back to the job. It took me 3 years after I took the jump to really see my first big year. And then we lost the company again. And so I've had to rebuild this thing 3 times. And I was at the point to where I was willing to get a divorce. I was willing to separate from my family because I felt like the vision that God gave me for what I was supposed to be doing, because I consider business ministry. And because I was so deadlocked on the end goal, I didn't care how long it took or what it looked like for me to get there. And a lot of us lack resiliency. And the reason we lack resiliency is because a lot of us start this entrepreneurial journey for more money. Money is the lowest vibrational energy. So if I'm chasing money, if I don't make the money in time, that's why you quit. But if the end goal is to add more value to the marketplace, if the end goal is to be more valuable to the community, if the end goal is to offer better service or product than the company you came from, and you want to provide it in a different way, if that's the end goal, then there is no end. There is no when I get there, because there is no there, because you always want to continue to add value to that specific marketplace that you're in. So I think a lot of us, we lack resiliency, and we lack resiliency is because our focus is on money and not on impact.
I almost had a vision of exactly what you're saying, because a lot of times our gaze stays almost, at our sight level. Mm-hmm. And so you're looking at everything that's around you at that level. But as soon as you start to elevate your gaze and you're focused on something that you're passionate about, a sense of purpose, something bigger than you, it almost creates a level of resiliency in you. And I'm just speaking from personal experience, because when I linked into what I felt like I was supposed to do in a bigger way, it's a lot harder to quit. And I think, too, another key point to that is you tend to attract people that want to help you be successful.
Yep.
So if your focus is only money and financial and turning a profit, you're going to attract people that are interested in money and, making a profit, and you're probably going to lose them just as quickly. As soon as the money's gone, they're gone. Whereas if you are linked into something that, you feel is bigger and more impactful for the world, I think you're going to attract in that type energy and those type resources also that will help you navigate that roller coaster.
Yep, I agree 100%. I look at what will make somebody work for a nonprofit for free for 40 years and be committed. It's the destiny. It's the vision of that nonprofit. It's the impact to the community that makes you not think about money. What if businesses took the same approach? What if we had more of a ministry approach where we were trying to be impactful versus just increasing the bottom line? There will be a lot more people that I would believe that will rather take a lower payment to be a part of something bigger than to take a higher payment, than to be a part of something that just makes money, which is why a lot of the top executives bottom out and they top out of the company, because they're like, okay, there's no higher I can go. There's no bigger impact I can make. Let me just go ahead and leave because there's nothing else I can do.
What are your thoughts on, because one of the things I've noticed within the network is, the hosts, like the content creators that I'm attracting are, caretakers. They're trained to care for other people, to help people, to heal people, but then they have a hard time doing the money transaction piece. And so I almost feel like we have to bolster people, whether it's a massage therapist or a chiropractor or an acupuncturist, to ask for the business, because when they're transacting business, they're creating a healthier world. Right. People are feeling better. How do you work with somebody whose natural inclination isn't to be like a business person?
Well, a lot of, because you want to help, right? That's the value. But we live in an economically driven society. And so my currency that I get from you, the currency that I get from you should be equal to the value I bring to your life. And so a lot of us believe like money is bad or money is evil. And, I just do it for the love or the impact of the community. But you can't give and never get. And so a lot of people who are empaths naturally that want to help, that want to provide, that want to give a service. Yeah, we want to give. Yeah, we want to provide. Yeah, we want to. But at the same time, what are you receiving back to be able to say thank you for the value that you're bringing to my life? And it has to be a financial thank you. It has to be something that says, because in the word of God, it says, your heart is where your treasures are. Where I put my treasures, that's where your heart is. So if you truly value the service that I'm bringing to you, I need you to cough up that check. I'll take Visa, MasterCard, Amex, check, cash, right? Whatever you want, but I need that because it's not fair to me to give you all of me and my service and then you just shortchange me. It doesn't work that way. Say you're a therapist and you're saving a CEO's life. Mentally, they're getting mentally strong. That CEO being in their right mind saved the company's $250 million. Before you, the company was failing. After you, the company is thriving. Well, whatever that gap is, you should get some type of percentage of that gap because you're a reason why that CEO is in the game. So don't allow people to shortchange you because they will continue to use you and they will get rich and you will be broke if you allow people to continue to use you and not pay you based on the value that you want to bring.
So I know you use the term financial cancer, and we can all agree that financial stress, personally as an entrepreneur, I've ridden that train a lot, can be very damaging. What are your thoughts on financial cancer and how to alleviate financial stress?
Right. So I created the term financial cancer almost as a play on with my sister actually beat stage 3 uterine what's it called?
Yeah, uterine cancer.
Uterine cancer.
Either ovarian or uterine or cervical.
Ovarian cancer, yep.
Yeah.
And she beat that. It's going on like 7 years now.
Mm.
And when I was going through financial stress and I was getting repos and I was getting evicted, I was getting all these things, I had all these thoughts that never would have came in my mind before. And I was asking my sister, like, what were her stages when she was going through and battling cancer, going to chemo, going to radiology? What was going on in her mind? And I realized what was in our mind was both the same thing. And I realized, wait, debt is the number one reason I'm feeling this way. So financial cancer came from me because cancer is a tumor, and debt is a tumor that literally impacts all of your life, from your mind, your spirituality, your beliefs, your relationships. You become moody. And so just like there are 4 stages of physical cancer, I've developed 4 stages of financial cancer. And what happens in your life psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually, what begins to happen to your life as you begin to get this stage 4 and develop stage 4 financial cancer. And so I scientifically, in a book, I scientifically prove how debt is the number one cause of death in Black America, Black or America in general. Because if you look at both in minority Black America and America in general, the number one cause of death is heart disease. Well, you can't just say, okay, heart disease. You got to go down to the core of what causes heart disease. Well, the number one cause of heart disease, which is plaque buildup in your arteries and in your heart, that causes your heart to be inefficient, which makes you to lose value in all the rest of your organs. Your heart begins to fail. There's a lot of these things, but heart disease is the number one cause of death in America. Now, the number one cause of heart disease is acute and chronic stress. See, acute stress is something that our bodies are meant to be able to do. These are stressors that come up that we deal with it. Our heart rates go up, then it comes back down to the regular resting heart rate. But what happens is our acute stress turns into chronic stress, and now your resting heart rate is now what it used to be at its highest. And so you're always feeling anxious. You're always feeling tense. You're always feeling like you're on something. You wake up every single day. You're thinking about, how can I rob Peter to pay Paul? Because I owe Paul, but I paid Peter on time for 6 months. How can I pay Paul? These are all stressors. And the number one cause of financial stress is debt. See, if you eliminate debt, There's a lot more purity that you feel like you have. There's a lot of lightness that you feel like you have, because there's no responsibility that you feel like somebody's going to come shut your doors for your business. Somebody's going to come take your equipment. Somebody's going to come evict you out your home. Somebody's going to come repo your car. And when we look at this thing, this debt is a true indication of why we have heart disease.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, you touch on something I say all the time too, which is when it comes, there's two things that will trigger people more than anything and cause stress and anxiety. When your heart is impacted, so if it's love and you have that emotional feeling with somebody, and financial fear, like those two to me. And when those two are combined, like you said, it will destroy families. It will destroy marriages. When those two things are triggered and they're not in a healthy space, look out, because chaos is right around the corner. So
you're in the wellness industry, and there's so many people that say, "Oh, eating healthy, it costs a lot." So we would rather spend $500 a month on a piece of a car that you're going to want to get rid of in 3 years because it's going to be a newer car.
Right.
It's $500 a month on your wellness, on eating right. With $150 a month, $200 a month, you can find a private chef that can literally tell you your ingredients for the month. Some will even prep your food for $200 a month.
Right.
And the exact amount of money you're spending on a clunk of metal, you can be spending on taking care of your body. You can't think right when we're stressed. It's hard to think when you can't think past your pockets.
Yeah. Well, it's a matter of, if you don't manage it today, your health and wellness and spirituality, if you don't manage it today, you're going to be managing disease in the future.
Oh, it's absolutely.
Whether it's obesity, cholesterol, heart problems, you will be managing that, and then you won't have a choice, and then you'll be regretful that you had not made better choices in the moment. Jake, it has been a real pleasure to be able to pick your brain and share your expertise, especially at 29 years old. You're on the ball and you're going to help us really change the world. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you work with people? And I'm going to put up your website so people can get in touch with you.
Good. So we originally started off as a financial firm, really helping people learn how to eliminate debt completely out of their life. And we actually teach a strategy where we teach families and small businesses how to build their own banking system using insurance reserves. So based on statistics, based on what the banks do, a lot of us, we attribute our entire life to borrowing and leveraging off of the bank. And none of us ever think about, how can I actually become my own banking system and build my own banking system for my family? And a lot of families, before we got used to these institutional banks, a lot of families had their own banking system. Everybody came to the same pot. Everyone borrowed from the family, paid interest back to the family bank because it was family held. So we're bringing back privatized banking to the average America, because when we look at the numbers, the average American makes $1.5 million over their career. And $1,082,577 of the 1.5 goes to the bank for debt and interest charges. So it's not the interest. Financial advisors tell us to put 10% away. We'll keep, the lifestyle at bay. And what happens with that is, I'm giving 10%, but 90% of my income is paying for debt and interest charges. 90%. What if I could privatize that and internalize it and make money off of my own purchases? So things that were liabilities are now assets to the family banking system. So our primary specialty was teaching people how to build these private banking systems for their lives. We actually built a course, and I wrote a 8.5 by 11 textbook curriculum, 285 pages, a textbook, like a college textbook that goes with the course, that really teaches you how to become your own private bank. Not only financial discipline and full independence from dependency on the bank, but also teaching them how to scale and grow businesses from scratch, taking it step by step. And we were able to do that and reach over 9 countries now, all across the country.
Any other closing thoughts you'd like to leave our audience with today, Jake?
Never despise small beginnings. It's okay to be small. Yeah. It's okay to be a startup. It's okay to not have all the resources. It's okay to have an office with a bunch of used furniture. It's okay to drive a used car. What you wear and the things that you have is not indicative of who you are and the value you can bring to society. And so if you want those nice things, increase your value, live below your means, and you can go get the nice things, and it will feel like you're buying shoes at Walmart. Debra, I literally, until this year, I drove a 2004 Toyota Camry. Until this year, I was wearing shoes from Walmart. Until this year. It wasn't until this year that I really felt like the company was healthy, that I really felt like we were financially healthy, that I went and bought a brand new Benz and a brand new Lexus cash, that I went and bought a Rolex cash. I made my lifestyle kind of increase, because my lifestyle based on what we make is 2% of the income that I bring in. And so you stay low so that you can live high longer. So it's okay to be small. It's okay to be a 2-person staff. And if you're honest with your consumers will be a lot more flexible with you, because they realize where you are. But if you act big and you pretend to be big, they're going to expect for you to perform at the level of company that's been around 40 years. And so if you just be honest, be okay with where you are, and just start with where you are and be proud of where you are, it's so much easier to live within your means so that you can live life the way that you mean.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Sounds like you're doing great things, and I'm sure we will be in touch in the future. Make sure you get in touch with Jake at his website. I'm sure you can reach out, and don't get financial stress. Talk to Jake, right?